Alright, hello, Nigel here from Paxton Road, part of FTB SPORTS, and I've been under the radar a little bit. Just obviously, work's got me under the cosh a little bit, but I've been inspired. I've been inspired. Recent developments following the Euros, just I'm trying to work, and I just keep hearing people saying Harry Kane let us down or Harry Kane isn't world class, and just a lot of the usual talk that we get. I mean, it's got to a point where he's got to release adverts with Nike. Do you know what I mean? And I'm just trying to get to. It's driving me mad. I don't understand why there seems to be a resistance to put Kane up there with the best players in the world. I just want to kind of talk through that because I do feel like there is a demographic of people who um, want to just downplay his achievements. And I mean, to be honest, I think for most fans it should be an open and shut case. But obviously, we've had a lot of occasions, and I just kind of wanted to deep dive into what his career is, what he's done in these big moments. I think because when you look at it out of context, I do think there is something to be said for the fact that he never won anything. Um, but the Tottenham teams that we've been on, I mean, from Pochettino to Mourinho to Ryan Mason, we had chances to do something, but for whatever reason, he didn't win. And I think that is one of the things. I mean, just throwing that out there, me and my boys did say if his name was Canino, we wouldn't even be talking about this. Do you know what I mean? If he was like some tropical player bought by Man United for 65 million, we'd be like, wow, this guy's incredible. But it's Harry Kane, Tottenham lad, and I think that curses him a little bit. So we do have to kind of talk about this, why some people have a resistance to just say he is what he is. Um, I think if we start with just one of the biggest knocks I've heard against him is where is he when you need him? And we obviously heard that coming out again on Sunday. And you know what? As an outsider, I understand where that even comes from because there's been a lot of games where you watch him, and especially big games, and there's just not a lot happening. But I say again, even if we watch that final in the Euros, we had 30% possession. So like I think there's this tendency, especially with people who don't watch Tottenham on a week in week out basis. Which I mean, I understand if you're a football fan. If you're not, um, there is this tendency to kind of you hear so much about a player, and then you turn on the game and you're like, what the hell does he do? And I used to do this with Ibrahimovic. Ibrahimovic never played in England throughout the large portion of his career. I mean, it was a Barca Inter, and every Champions League game, I'd get so excited because you just hear the legend of Ibrahimovic. Then you turn it on, and you're like, "What the hell is this?" And you just don't get what was advertised. And I think Kane has been unlucky. I mean, that World Cup that he had, well, unlucky or bad, whichever one you want. That World Cup that we had, where we got to the semis and lost, he was poor. There's no other way to put it, to be honest. The Euros, was it, or was it the World Cup where we went out to Iceland? I think the moment that forever punctuates that game is that free kick that he had that just flew to the corner flag. That was the moment where you just say, yeah, this is the punctuation on the fact that England can't do it in these big tournaments, and that was quite a big turning point in English history. And I feel like on the biggest stage, if those are the performances that you remember most about a player, I understand why people are going to ask questions. And it's funny to think like Kane carries Sissoko, carries moon boots. I mean, not say Sissoko. Big 1-7 is part of Paxton tradition. Um, carry some of these players, especially when there's dips and forms in the team, and you just see him carry on to be a phenom. And um, I don't know why, but it just doesn't look the same for England for whatever reason. I mean, he started to be the Kane that we know in the last 16. Um, but what he is at Tottenham, we haven't seen it at that major tournament or in that major game for whatever reason. But I mean, I say again, because I'm a basketball fan, people like to talk about LeBron's finals record. They say Michael Jordan was 6-0, and whatever his name, LeBron was 6-3 or 7-3, whatever it is now. And my comeback is always, yeah, but who was the better team? Now I look through Kane's finals. Like, you want to hold the Man City game against him this year? Yeah, but who was the better team? Do you know what I mean? Like, you're the striker. I mean, especially this season, you go into it and you have nothing to live off. You're playing against Man City. He's not a magician. He just wasn't the better team going into that final. It's just the Italy game. You look at it, the Italy had top operators in there. There's Borello, there's Jorginho, there's Insigne dropping in. You just got a lot of quality players, and they were quite evidently the better team, to a point where Declan Rice and Calvin Phillips surviving made them man of the match. And it's like, you look to your striker and it's like, what do you want him to do? And I understand there's the legend of Harry Kane, do you know what I mean? The golden boy, you put him on the big stage and you just kind of think, do it. And to be honest, I think that's a level that we attribute to the greatest player in the world, do you know what I mean? We've seen Messi on big stages just not do anything. His team getting pummeled, you say, where's Messi? And that's arguably the greatest player ever. I mean, Ronaldo's able to rise to these occasions, but it's not like Real Madrid is sitting there with 30% possession. So that's another thing. My thing is, out of all the finals you think of with Harry Kane and the big games, how many of them were they the better team? That Liverpool game in the Champions League, they weren't the better team. And your striker's going to live and die off his service. And he died by it on the most part in a lot of these big games. And you know what? My thing is, like, no one ever had resistance with Gareth Bale. Gareth Bale never won anything either at Tottenham. Kane's never won anything. But I just think that's another thing. The flash in his game, I don't think he's a flashy player. I think you have to be an intelligent football fan to understand a lot of these things that he's doing. I think Gareth Bale scoring from 40 yards. You remember the runs. You remember the goals against Inter Milan. Undoubtable. Goes to Real Madrid, does it again. But even in his Tottenham time, no one was doubting it. But he still never won anything with Spurs, and that was a brilliant Spurs side. So, you know what? Would I love Harry Kane to take it by the scruff of his neck in a final? Do we want those moments? Do we remember those moments from big players? Absolutely. But at the same time, I don't think it's 100% his fault. I don't think it's 100% his fault. I still think he should be doing something, but we reserve that to the very best players in the world. I mean, Messi been in that Copa America with 10 teams for an entire career. He only just won it. Like, he just won it now. And we're talking about Messi. So Ronaldo's got one international trophy to his name. And that's, you put these guys in an inferior team, it's not like they can just grab it. Do you know what I mean? The one trophy that Portugal did get, Ronaldo was on the bench. So you see why luck comes into these. A lot of these things, the ball hasn't rolled his way. Hasn't been meant to be. So to whatever degree you hold him accountable for that, then that's absolutely fine. If you look at the other players in and around his caliber, I mean, you look at, to be honest, I don't put anyone near prime Suarez, but if you look at Suarez right now at Atletico, what he did with Barca, obviously Champions Leagues, I think peak for peak, honestly, Luis Suarez is the best striker we've ever seen in the Premier League. He nearly carries that Liverpool team to a title, but ultimately he comes up short. That was possibly the best single season we've ever seen. If you hold him to that, then he's not prime Suarez, but I don't think anyone was. If you look at Haaland's another player that's getting a lot of comparisons. It's either him or I mean, Dortmund were nowhere near it this year. He did what he could. Obviously, we saw in the Champions League, not a lot was. He played pretty well, but he was very tame in the round that they went out. I think PSG knocked them out, And again, a striker's living and dying by his service. Ronaldo, we've seen him at Juve. You bring down his level of teammates. It's not that easy. That it's 11-on-11. It's just very hard to impose your will on a football match, no matter how good you are. I think we've really seen Ronaldo be able to do that because he's just such a physical force, but he still needs the ball. He's been very fortunate. He's been on a team that will more than likely get the ball. More than likely, there will be that one chance for him, or at least a penalty if the ref has something to do with it. Yeah, that's just my take. Like, it's hard for me to look at this game, and especially this Euros that happened, this final, and say 30% possession where it was Kane. It's like, before we started hoofing the ball up to him with Chiellini and Bonucci, he was doing pretty well, I'd say. He went down as England stopped getting the ball, but in possession, he was the biggest threat. You talk about him dropping too deep. Don't matter. We didn't have the ball. Do you know what I mean? We didn't have the ball. Everyone's tucked in. It was very, very similar to what we saw from Spurs, especially under Mourinho. It just wasn't meant to be in that game. And I think there is a bit left to desire. You'd wish, like, maybe he pops one in from 40. Bale might have. Do you know what I mean? Bale might have. But being worse than the prime Gareth Bale isn't the biggest indictment on your football career. He doesn't score goals like that. I mean, he does, but I mean, Gareth Bale's got a wonderful left foot. That's just a different class to me. But it's yeah. Kane's career so far, the fact that he doesn't hold a trophy, I think has more to do with the team than him. Is he world class? For me, absolutely. The numbers are what they are. Is he prime Suarez? Definitely not. Is he prime Torres? I'd say yeah. Is he prime Van Persie? I'd say yeah. These players went to bigger teams, won. Do you know what I mean? Great players. They did what they had to do. I think Kane's better than both of them, to be honest, but he's a more complete player. But we'll see where the career goes. But that's just for me. I just had to get this off my chest because I can't even concentrate on my work. But yeah, if you enjoy that, like, subscribe. There will be plenty more content. We're trying to keep it active throughout this break. Pre-season's coming up, but like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Continued support, and thank you very much.